All right, good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 70th episode of our first run through House of Light on YouTube, playing as the archaeologist. So we were going to get the salon done. Well, we should have that done by the end of today. We're just wrapping up the evening. I have a letter to Strathcoin to write. We'll wrap up the last little bit of work that I have here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I was going to use one of the tryst to restore Resentful Terrence, and then we should have enough time to be able to go to Crowcross Sands as well. It takes 90 seconds. So now if we hear the... Actually, yeah, even if we hear the bells, we should still be fine. I deserved a little quiet time. All right, so I'm also going to take this opportunity to bring up some more vegetables. Or grapes. I could do the grapes as well. I think I'm going to stick with vegetables. I think I have enough grapes to be able to get Tuppence and Terrence fed. Hey, we've got our package from TRN as well. Unwrap, unbox, unleash. Okay. Would have preferred something different, but... Where can I even fit this? The tricky part, of course, is that all this stuff is great for tossing out for, you know, just to get a quick winter or edge memory. But I have so much of it that it's kind of hard to imagine a situation where I use all of these. Okay, better now. This one's a tough one. So I can't see a situation where... Yeah, I can't really see myself cooking with this. And clearly the talk verb's already occupied with the animals. So I think in this case here, unless I'd like to go to the moor, I think for this one we're just going to earn some money at the Sweet Bones. Not a bad idea to still keep the option with the core just in case, but I don't think it serves my interests right now. Alright, carrots, tomatoes, marrows, and blessed onions, all the unsung heroes of the stew pot. So I'm starting to run out of space for these, but this is really about preserving the option at this point. Okay, the pheasant and the beef might be a little bit difficult to store, but let's do our best. Don't think there's any space for the... Well, actually, I can probably fit the pheasant here. Beef's another question, so I think we're just going to have to put those on the steps for the, the time being. We cooked the... Oops. We cooked the one so that we could have the dripping. Alright, we should be good. Alright, and now it suggests a meal would be welcome. So we've at least got the 2 eggs. I'd like to have some more, so I will, when I have the time, dedicate some time to getting the chickens fed. For now, I'll take the opportunity I can get. Satisfy this creature's appetite. And we have unlocked the Sacred Spring. The eye marked on the rocks here is not the watchman's eye that decorates the church above, but the eye that marks the Temple of the Wheel in dreams. The priests of the sun would tell you there was no sight before the rising of the sun, but those who've drunk from this spring will dream of another sun, one that swung lower in the sky, one that would speak with us, one that would accept friendly gifts of blood from us. So this doesn't offer us too much. We do have the Sacred Spring, so here a pilgrim would bathe, make offerings, or drown, as they might prefer. So the usual soul scale and memory, nectar, grail, and moon, and we can put another element of the soul, remains, or an omen, and then memory, remains, or pigment. So not impossible to make things out of it, but it's one that I don't use that much. Now, the Room of Rusts, so Forge and Scale. Of course, we do have Denzil as our sort of our main companion, so the Room of Rusts is viable, although we'd open the Broken Bridge first, I think. And I don't believe we should be able to get, yeah, we can't keep the fear, so. Oh, blackberries. Berries promised by darkness. Unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. Now, I thought I had a place where I kept the blackberries, but... As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Another sack of vegetables. You can really never have too many of these. The thing that's nice about the sack of vegetables is that, so I think if you get a marrow, you automatically get 2 nectar. If you just need to serve it to a chicken, you know, that's fine. You can just send the sack. Ooh, more pelcards. So for the most part, a sack of vegetables is preferable in most cases. Although, of course, with the grape, first of all, the grapes grow in different seasons. And then, second of all, it is also necessary for certain recipes. A full belly makes a helpful friend. Anyway, first thing tomorrow, we're going to invite some guests. I'll probably use the health to earn money at the Sweet Bones. Alright, memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. So, invitation to Fraser. Stamp, envelope, send. The postmistress examines the letter and deems it sufficient. It'll go with the next post, she assures me. Same with Dagmar. So the gale might give me pause. I don't recall if... Let me just take a quick minute here. Yeah, so with Mr. Kill, it was... so 1, the storm... was 4, so in this case with 3, so we'd get up to 4. The fife would take us up to 7, Faust 8, Blue Crown 10. I believe it is 12 that we were looking for. Yeah. So there is a chance that I could get the Screaming Summit if I made egg croquettes. The catch is that would require the use of the Faust, which is currently assigned for the salon, as well as getting Mr. Kill using the whist. So in this case, I think this costs me a few too many things to be a viable option. Which is fine. We don't need to take every weather opportunity that comes up. So I do want to prioritize the salon just because I'm going to here's the better way for me to put this. What I'm doing right now will earn me, I think, up to 5 different lessons, which of course can be used to level up all of these various skills and such. Whereas if I want to use the Gale to open up a room, it's the Screaming Summit, which again isn't terrible. I do at some point want to use it, but is it the thing where I say, okay, let's make it possible so that I have lessons left over at the end of the season. I really want to I don't know. I really want to get this room open. Not really. Like, we'll have another storm at some point in the future. Get certain skills high enough, we'll be able to make storms if we want. But yeah, so that's kind of my thinking about it right now. Okay. I'm just gonna cycle the health for now. I do want to earn the money, but I do also want to use the health at the end of the day to level everything up. Okay. Welcome, Fraser. Welcome, Daymare. Welcome, Zachary. Welcome, Coquille. Zachary's now inspired. I should probably read these. Okay. So Zachary fears nowhere. Agenda, revelation. Alright. Cool. So we gotta wait until the afternoon for the salon to begin. But we're in good shape. We really don't have that much of autumn left. All right, midday. Before the Great Division, this was the 6th hour when the priests led hymns to the sun and splendor. Now noon, as they say, is not as it was. Perhaps the new king will change that. So we have Mr. Fraser Strathcoyne, philanthropist, collector, former librarian, a complicated man, but not a cruel one. Zachary Wakefield, marksman, detective, renegade. He has always been a quiet man, but since he left the Suppression Bureau, he has grown even quieter and terribly still, except for his fingers and for his eyes, always in restless motion. Princess Coquille Emerigibi, artist, socialite, burglar, an unspeakably charming woman with a particular knack for getting adopted. Daymare, Gräfin Frederica Dagmar Sophia Teresa Helena Begina von Nagelsberg, if you prefer. She doesn't. Senior Corso Reverte, manuscript hunter, legacy scavenger, mercenary. Many would question his ethics, few would deny his acuteness. They will be sitting down to enjoy pickled pilchards, an acquired and unforgettable taste, a stuffed pale marrow. This was a marrow redolent of sorrow, now it's a dish to comfort the damned. Game chips, long before fish and chips, these went crunchily with game. Ideally, you'd want bread sauce and bread crumbs to complete the ensemble, but honestly, it's hard enough not to just stuff these directly into your mouth. A jugged pheasant, the hunter's reward, and pear pie, flaky, buttery crust, luscious pears with cinnamon and nutmeg. And to drink, they'll be enjoying Don Lion coffee, coffee from beyond the great deserts, Isle water from Brandkrug's deep springs, Cater and Hero Second Flush Assam, tea from the land of the real unicorn, imported by Cater and Hero, and TRN Limited Drinking Cocoa. TRN Spices and Savors Department markets this as the secret sacrament of the last Inca. And they will be hosting it in the Hall of Division. The Hall of Division. Ava DeWolf first furnished this as her Hall of Division, holding feasts where the guests were selected by unusual and exacting criteria. Later, Thirza Blake, 7th Librarian, employed the speculist Pomander to add more mirrors. Lots more mirrors. Bring light back to the mirrors where once Lady Ava held court. My guests take their places for lunch. Keep an eye on the salon as it progresses. You will need to add soul cards to encourage the conversation to flow. Different guests will need different soul cards. The more guests, the longer the salon will last. I'm sorry to keep splitting my attention with the sweet bones, but in this case the money makes a little more sense because I'm going to be getting more things from Cater and Hero and TRN. A formal meal, lunch and supper last longer than less formal salons, allowing an extra interaction between you and your guests. Spice up the conversation. Add an Arab card. Corso is trying to impress Coquille with an impromptu recitation of the Thirsting Tantra. His pronunciation is eccentric, but Coquille seems unexpectedly interested. Eventually, it becomes apparent even to Corso that she's just angling for the location of a copy, but Corso seems unabashed. Invite a challenge. Dagmar and Coquille are talking again about the great signs and great scars. Again, their conversation is punctuated by discussion of the very nice Margrave, to whom Dagmar did in fact introduce Coquille, a fact Dagmar now seems to be regretting. Alright, this is going to be interesting. I actually don't know if I need that much for great signs and great scars. Still hard to be mad about that development. So the only reason I say this is that Great Signs and Great Scars has only 2 more levels it could be, and I need to decide if I really want it at that top level in Horamachistry or Hushery. Alright, another challenge. Okay, so this is going to require a bit of attention. This is where I go to my spreadsheet. So metal is either 1 for Horamachistry or Illumination. And in fact, I don't think I have a whole lot to work with for Illumination. So the problem with Horamachistry is I do not have Deep Mandaic. So effectively here, I'm looking to employ... I need a level 3 Lantern skill. Lantern skill. Level 3 Illumination. So Purifications and Exaltations, I think, was one of the ones I was working on, but I didn't actually put that up, so that's already eliminated as an option. Let's take a look at some of the others. So Watchman's Paradoxes, but I imagine that will get me Faust. Yeah, so that doesn't really help. Unless, of course, I have a level 4 that I can work with. Applebright Euphonies, I imagine if we have it, is level 2, but we don't have it so far as I can tell. Obviously, I'm referencing more than one thing here. I have a couple here. You know, I'm willing to say I'm sunk on this one. So, a bit of a shame, but I don't want to... until I have... I think the majority of what I want to do is is probably down the Horamachistry path. Raise a complex question. Coquille and Fraser discuss the Great Hooded Princes and Princesses' transition between histories. He asks whether there were Carapace Cross still active in the 5th history, but she will not answer him. Okay, Pentiments and Precursors is a bit of a freebie. Spice up the conversation with an Arab card. Corso is trying to impress Coquille with a long bit about the name known as the Excellency Nathobasis, where he almost, but not quite, suggests he's met it. Coquille isn't impressed, but she keeps smiling, and he keeps talking. So, more Great Signs and Great Scars. So in theory, we could take this up to level 9 if we wanted, but I don't see a lot of value in doing that. Inject an emotion. Add a tryst card. I'm going to take a risk here and use the Shapt at the Sweet Bones. I'm also going to do some gardening. Again, a bit of a risky play here, but let's use the Tryst at Crowcross. I'm assuming here I only have one more encounter. If it's more than one, I'm going to be very sad. Knowledge Ramsund. The conversation dwelt on Ramsund. A lively meal concludes. My guests leave happy. You've gained an additional potent memory. Okay, so a little different from what I was expecting, but not a bad ending at all. So let's think about what we can do with the rest of the day with my Elements of the Soul. The Sweet Bones, I think, is spoken for, as are the 2 destinations here. So one thing I can do right away is use the Tryst to... Actually, hang on. So based on the memories we're going to get... I was trying to think of the low-hanging fruit that I could use to try and level some of these up. So Coil and Chasm's a non-starter. Horns and Ivories might work with Pentiments and Precursors. There's no real way that I'm going to be able to do Great Signs and Great Scars. So we've got 2 Great Signs and Great Scars, Orchids and Narcotics, which I could actually raise with... No, I can't because we're using that to garden. The Ramsund. Now, actually, Ramsund's an interesting one. That's a Sky and... yes, we'll use that to level up Strings and Songs. So that's Foss taken care of. Because we can use the Gale there. Unless I want to try and make something... So if I got the 4... I'm wondering if it might make sense for me to actually try and make something with Bells and Braziers. Yeah, so I can actually get an easy Ascendant Harmony. But that still doesn't rule out leveling things up, so let's read a relevant text. Ooh, I don't think I can do anything else with the remaining lessons. So then the question is, what do I want to do with the Corfet and Shapt that remains? There's no books to catalog. So ideally this would go towards... Ah, well, I can use the... Well, no, I gotta use the core to level up the skill now. So it's the Fet and the Shapt. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so there's the Orichalcum. That needs metal. Gervanite, on the other hand. Well, I need a little bit more than I have. So I will accept... I'll accept the limitation. We'll still make the amethyst ampule. But for the Fet... what do I want to do with the Fet? Truthfully, I don't actually have that many options with my Fet. So yeah, Tanglebrag's not the thing. Can't say the moth gold paint is something necessary. And then this is too little, although we could probably use it at the desk. And then add the shears. That just gets us Tanglebrag again. I mean, Westcott's Compounds at least gets me something for the next turn. I don't know though, I feel like there should be something better for me to do with these. You know what? So I've got a salt sign here. I mean, I might be able to try and do something interesting with the salt sign in future. With preliminal meter, I've got the confounding parable. Well, I mean, at least that I can take overnight, I suppose. Yeah, you know, the more I think about this, normally I don't put a lot of stock in like generating the memory with the remaining element of the soul. But it actually makes sense in this case, because that just saves me the element of the soul in the next day. Okay, there's the Ramsund, Trist, Arab, Whist, Metal, Orchids and Narcotics. Oh yes, I actually forgot about a couple of these. Alright, so these get moved down. This gets moved over here. So I didn't actually need to make the storm memory, which is a bit of a shame. So let's we'll start off with strings and songs. That's a pretty simple level up for me to do. Suppose in this case we'll use the satisfaction. So there's always more to learn. Yeah, okay, actually, so in retrospect, yeah, I definitely shouldn't have... And you know, that's completely on me, too, because I really should have known better as far as the... extra memory goes. Still. So I think, yeah, this is gonna take some thinking, but great signs and great scars. I can't remember, do we have anybody else? It's just Zachary is inspired, unless Corso is, but I don't think Corso is. Yeah. A full belly makes a helpful friend. The skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. So yeah, the great signs and great scars, that's definitely going to take some effort on my part to figure out how I get that done. It fits fairly tidily in the mind as long as you turn it sideways. I just want to make sure I've not sabotaged myself with... Okay, so I've got about 10 seconds to go with collection. So yeah, shame about the storm, not much for me to do about it. Amethyst ampule, we'll just add that to the collection. Yeah, so what I'm thinking here, one great signs and great scars. Actually, so what I'll do here, we'll say great signs and great scars. So these should probably go to their normal destinations. These two, again, I have a little bit of a decision to make. So for instance, I could say we put the points into stone stories so that we can increase our nectar and scale. Or alternatively, we put it into something like Coil and Chasm, Horns and Ivories, the sorts of things that potentially would get applied to... the sorts of things that would potentially wind up on the Tree of Wisdoms. The Great Signs and Great Scars is a bit of a fun one. So, I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, I could say Horns and Ivories gets Great Signs and Great Scars, and Coil and Chasm get Pentiments and Precursors, which moves us up. But again, I gotta figure all that out. I don't think this is something I'm going to be able to figure out on the stream today. But it's nice to have options, obviously. I have no idea where I'm going to put the Serpentinite. Can I fit a third one? Mackerel. All right, I'm definitely happy for the extra fish. Creates a bit of a storage problem, but... Okay, sack of vegetables, running out of space. There we go. Okay, so all in all, I think it's a pretty decent spot. Hang on, we're missing oh yes, the Ascendant Harp. Ooh, actually, I wonder if I'm going to lose this overnight. I don't think so. It should just be a 90-second item. Still, I'm feeling nervous. Cool. All right, and that's a persistent memory, so that's kind of why I made it. It's just a nice little way of turning a bit of weather into something more permanent. But yeah, so not a terrible day. Obviously, I made a couple of stumbles this week just in terms of inefficient use of memory or of elements of the soul. We were still able to get back the Curious Hunch. If I want the Occult Scrap, I can use Peter Ictistis' card. The real question mark hanging over... So, actually, sorry, there's a couple of things. So first of all, I need to decide with Orchids and Narcotics if it's going to go into Bossk or Skolokosophy. And if so, you know, is this the sort of thing I'm willing to hold back on before committing, or do I need to start making some choices in terms of where all of these things go in the Tree of Wisdoms? The Horamakastri block with Deep Mandaic is the real drag on the playthrough right now. And then, yeah, I mean, Great Signs and Great Scars is going to be an interesting challenge just because I need to find 7 unique Grail and Knock memories. I think I can probably pull it off, but I do need to remember that the Name Day riddle is actually a lot more difficult for me to get than I think it is. And that's just because my preliminal meter is not that high. Is it? No, sorry, I think it's Edict's Liminal that I normally use for it. But basically, I don't have the Moth for it, is the simple way of putting it. Now, once these are dealt with, I do have a few other ones which are good to move up. So for instance, 108, once I sort of figure out where I'm going with Pentiments and Precursors, we can get an easy Pentiments and Precursors out of that. The Fire Circle Tantra will give us Solutions and Separations. That's a Moth and Knock one. We still haven't figured out what we're doing with Sacra Lamea. But yeah, needless to say, we've got a few, once I've sort of figured out where I am in the playthrough, we got a few options to play with. But given where we are in autumn, I would like to try and wrap all of that work up. I would like to wrap up the 4 lessons first, and then following that, I figure we can. Did I not use a Tryst to? I thought I used it to make Cat Wink. Anyways, but yeah, we've got a few options available to us. Ideally, I'm going to be able to make not only level up my existing skills, but I'm hoping that we can whittle down a few of the books here. And then my outside there's a couple things that I want to do for winter. So winter should give me a couple of opportunities to do some of the higher. Like the Snowfall should allow me to get into the Screaming Summit, for instance. And if I'm feeling really short on things to do, I can actually cross the Broken Bridge or potentially even go down to the Room of Rusts. Anything with Forge is usually something, actually Forge or Edge for that matter, are the sorts of things where I should feel comfortable getting Denzel to work with, just because again it doesn't have a financial cost associated with it, and more importantly, during winter I don't have as many things to do with my my core or my health. So really an option here is I use 1 health to get Denzel in, 1 health to go to the Sweet Bones, and that means all of my other elements of the soul are free to read books or whatever. But of course all of that will be handled next week. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you after the weekend. Till then, take care.